Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Victory Leaders Lounge. This is not just a live stream; it's a podcast. Today, I have a wonderful guest. His name is Ron. But let me get the icky ad stuff out of the way first, and then we'll go ahead and just go straight into the conversation. So, Victory Leaders Lounge is brought to you by Victory Leadership Coaching, home of the Warrior Leadership Coaching Certification course and first-time leaders course for new managers. Don't forget to check us out at victoryleadershipcoaching.com. You can also buy our books at amazon.com. I'm getting ready to release more, but right now the books are Why Organizations Should Develop Their Leaders. It's a pocket guide. And also I have Warrior Leadership, the journey from coach to entrepreneur. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe all of our videos on YouTube channel and Spotify. And, make sure you share the stuff that you see that you like on the rest of the social media platforms. That way everybody can see it and everybody can enjoy it. All right, now that that's out of the way, Ron, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic, man. That was like a professional podcast intro there.
I'm not gonna lie, and I don't care if all my viewers know this and listeners, but I do have it on teleprompter. This app allows it to happen there, so that way I don't forget anything. Because if I have to go off the cuff, I forget half of it.
Well, it just sounded like I was tuning into an Ed Milet episode. Just the voice, how you did all of it right there. It was just straight through it. It was just really good. I enjoyed it as the guest. I enjoyed that.
Well, I enjoy that you're here as my guest. So there. Let's do this, man. So Ron is a military veteran. He's also I'll call him a serial entrepreneur because he's had more than one venture. But I'm going to let him tell his story. Ron, again, thank you for being a guest. Please introduce yourself to the audience and tell as much as your story as you would like, and then we can get this conversation going.
Absolutely, man. So I'll give the highlights of kind of everything, and thank you for having me here today. So I got out of the Marine Corps in 2011, and I was trying to figure out what was I going to do with my life. I wasn't planning on getting out of the Marine Corps. I was planning on being in the Marine Corps. It took me 13 months to become a United States Marine. I got a tattoo removed off my neck to make it happen. And sure enough, we get back from Iraq. We're on our Afghanistan workup, and I blow my knee out, and the Marine Corps was like, that's it. We're not fixing this. We're done. Like, that relationship was done. It's one of the easiest ways to put that. So I ended up in Michigan. That's where my wife was from, and she wanted to go back home. And I was trying to, like, what do I do now? Like, here I am. I got to do something. I got to go somewhere. I got to do, like, I can't just sit here on the couch. And I replied to an ad to be foreman in training on Craigslist, and got the job. And that was the start of my love with the construction industry. So what I found was it was the perfect transition for me. I was looking for this brotherhood. I was looking for this camaraderie. I found it on a job site. Of all the places I could possibly found it, I found it on a job site. And that led to me being in the construction industry for over a decade. And I've done everything from running the crew to running the company. And during that time, got my ass chewed a few times and decided I didn't want to do that. Like I left that in the Marine Corps, didn't want to do that in construction. So I really dove into why. Everything pointed me to communication. One night I was laying in bed, it hit me. It's like, if I just had software that worked as air traffic control, got everybody on the same page, it would solve this problem, and we could solve this problem for the construction industry. Over the last couple of years of that journey, that software has become BuilderComms. I brought it to market, and here we are now having this conversation. I currently live in North Carolina, and it's a beautiful life, man.
I love it. Well, thank you. And, don't feel like you have to say any more or any little. I mean, I think your story is great. You said it perfectly. I'm sure that's not the first time. But, the one thing that kind of resonated with me with what you said, and I kind of looked away to write it down real quick, is the camaraderie. I did help a couple friends of mine locally over here in Iowa after I moved here with some stuff in their landscaping and construction businesses. And I found the same thing. One thing that construction, landscaping, most of those, the service jobs, that they all have in common to what we did when we were in the military is that it's a very operational type job. You have the tactical operations center, so to speak, and then you have that communication channel to tell you what's supposed to be going on while you're out in the field. You have your leaders at every level that communicate. It's almost like the owner of the business is the company commander or first sergeant, and then you have the superintendents that are like the platoon sergeants, and then you have these teams that go out there, and each one of those are like a squad leader, and so the structure of a construction company is very, very similar. And so I found the same thing, and that's why I love it when I have clients that are in the construction industry, because they kind of speak my language when it comes to how things go up and down the chain of command.
Yeah, there's a lot of the same structure just inherently to how you operate. Like, I was a grunt in the Marine Corps, so like becoming a grunt in construction, there's a transit, like there's an easy transition, but that's what we always think about when we think about construction. We think of the laborer, the what out in the field working, but it doesn't matter where you come from, what your background is. There's a spot for you in construction, and you're going to find the same thing in the office as what you find out in the field. And when you talk about that structure and how that is one of the things that you find is construction has that chaos element to it too. Is it's very structured, but there's chaos. Well, we thrive in those environments. Like, what are you trained for? What are you constantly preparing for in the military? Chaos.
Yep.
We know it's eventually going to happen. We know it's going to unfold. It's how do you react? How do you overcome those situations? And that's a leg up we have on everybody
Yep.
when you land in construction, because now when shit hits the fan, you're not freaking out about it. You're not like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? How do we get this project done? We understand that's just going to happen. Like,
Yep.
that's what you train for. You have everything you do, all the SOPs, all the stuff, and you just knock that stuff out every day. But we know eventually there's going to be chaos. Being veterans, we're designed to handle that chaos completely different than civilians. And it's
Yep.
one of the things that makes us really strong in construction, because not every industry inherently has chaos like the construction industry has.
Yep.
And we're able to separate ourselves from that chaos that's happening and figure out a way to overcome it, get through it, and come out on the other side while everybody else might be scrambling. And that's just not in our blood. It's not in our DNA. After we serve and go through all the training we go through, spend time deployed or spend time at a base, understanding, like, even if you're at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, going through your typical day, eventually there's going to be some chaos in that day you're going to have to overcome. And that's just what it is.
Yep. Yep. And you said it. We train for it. I mean, it's not like the typical training that you expect to see out in the civilian workforce either. No, we have scheduled training where we take time away from what we would normally do for our job so that we can go into an environment that is more stressful and teach not just the people that are on the ground doing the work, but leaders at all levels, how to make decisions during those stressful times and to make your structures better so that you can deal with it. Yeah, you're right. The typical civilian organization does not train for that. And actually, the construction industry doesn't even train for it. They're just baptism by firing the hell out of it all the time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And see, I was able to use that when I go back to when I was a laborer and just becoming a foreman and a field supervisor, before I moved into any like upper leadership position, I was always able to utilize my skill set in that to be able to help teach others that, like, okay, is it crazy? Is there chaos? Did everything go completely wrong? Absolutely. But everybody's alive and we can easily figure this out. Like, this is not something that's not overcomable. Like, we can overcome this, might cause a delay, but we just have to get through it. And instead of what typically happens is where everything just comes to a grinding halt and everybody's like, well, it is what it is I was able to start help guys understand, like, this is just what it is and we have to just figure it out. And no matter what happens, it could probably be worse.
Yep.
So let's take what we have, put it back together, and move through this. Like, I worked in residential construction and refit stuff. So we were constantly opening stuff up and redoing stuff. So not like
Oh,
new construction. So you run it like you're constantly, you open something up and it's 90% of the time what you think, 10% of the time a complete disaster.
oh yeah. Every time you open up that wall, you don't know what you're gonna find on
Yeah.
the inside.
And that's just the nature of the beast. But you have to start to understand is, like, eventually you've seen it all.
Yeah.
Like, when you look back, like, we had a staff sergeant and a first sergeant that had been through Fallujah and everything, and we're going to Iraq and Afghanistan, and it's like we're with guys that have seen it all. Like, there is not much that's going to happen that these guys have not seen in a combat environment. You get the same way there in your career. Like, eventually you get to the point where you've seen it all. There's not very many times. I'll tell you, towards the end of my time working in construction, there wasn't many times that we would open something up and I hadn't seen it. I'm going to
Right.
say maybe once a year, somebody would send me something, or I would go out to a job site and it would literally be something I hadn't seen.
Yep.
You start to you learn these experiences, and the only way you learn that stuff is to go through the chaos, live through it, adapt, and come up with the solution and not panic. I think that's where in the private sector, like veterans, we can be so strong, is if we just lean in and know there's nothing to panic about here. Like, this is like, we can easily get through this.
Yep. Life, limb, or eyesight, buddy. If it's not any of those three things, then things are actually going a lot better than expected. I mean, especially when you're dealing with heavy equipment, when you're dealing with power tools, when you're dealing with things that can hurt you on a regular basis. I mean, you can plan all day long, but things are just like you said, things are always going to go wrong.
Well,
So,
and let's talk about that life, limb.
and
So
eyesight.
like,
Yeah.
so in the construction space, there's a lot of room for people to get hurt, and that's another, like, I hate, like, I am a big component for people moving into construction out of the military. Like, I 100% believe we could fix the labor gap in the construction industry if we did a better job of marketing to veterans. Let's talk about the positioning where people can get hurt. I've been on multiple job sites where people have gotten hurt and had to be the one to be able to keep that situation under control. So people don't know what to do when chaos hits. If somebody cuts their finger off or breaks a leg or gets knocked out or what, there's bad stuff that happens on job sites. We understand how to react in those situations as well and keep somebody alive, or just keep the chaos to a minimum, because that's when that kind of stuff happens. When there's an injury on a job site, what goes through the roof is the chaos, but what do we have to bring down immediately is that sense of chaos. And we, as veterans, in the training that we receive, We just have the natural ability to take control of those situations and bring that chaos down. And I hate to say it, but just thrive. Like those
Yep.
are situations where we thrive, and that stuff happens on job sites.
Yep.
It's a differentiator. It's where if you own a construction business and you're listening to this right now, this is why you should be finding out, where can I recruit veterans? Is there a National Guard by me? Is there a base by me? Where can I go find people that have this training, this understanding, where I know, do they understand construction? Probably not. When I landed on a job site for the first time, I had no idea about construction. I grew up working on cars and then went to the Marine Corps. I did not, I mean, I knew how to swing a hammer, and that was about it. I did not understand construction at any level, but I was willing to learn, and I felt like I had a really good skill set, and the rest is history. So if you're listening to this and you own a construction business, it's not necessarily about somebody having the experience. I was a Marine. I say all the time, if you can go find a Marine, bring them under your wing, teach them a skill set, they will be loyal to you and they will die for you and your business. They will literally be so loyal to you if you just give them an opportunity and you teach them a skill set and you coach them along the way and you continue to develop them. And that right there is how we can fix the gap we have with the labor we need in the construction industry, in veterans that need to work and they need something to do that fulfills a sense of purpose.
As a matter of fact, that for the homeless population, especially, I think getting those guys just in a labor position, and getting them out of whatever funk they were in.
Yeah.
Honestly, the biggest reason that veterans go homeless after the military is because they no longer have a mission. Give them a family and a mission. Put them on a job site. You'll be surprised to see that guy that was doing cocaine or whatever the case, after he cleans up and he gets on the job site, he not only starts looking completely different, he gains weight, he starts smiling, he's a good person, he gets the work done. I mean, I think that any veteran, doesn't matter if they're from the Marine Corps or the Army or whatever, the one thing that we lack when we leave is that camaraderie that you talked about in the very beginning of this call. And most organizations, where do they make the most money when they get out? They can go and work over at a corporation somewhere who values those organizational skills. However, if they don't qualify for something like that, they will still be able to thrive in the services, and any construction, landscaping, electricians, or whatever the case may be, because it provides that similar structure. And you're right, our ability to problem solve under stress. I mean, we're trained in the military, man, that when things are going real bad, if you get shot in the leg, you're trained to have somebody drag you out by your LBV while you're still shooting at the enemy. I mean, who gets that kind of training in the civilian world? Absolutely nobody. We're trained to keep on going no matter what, and deal with it, but deal with it when it's not going to cause more problems for you and everyone else.
Yeah, and there's such a huge gap when it comes to recruiting. Like, there's a lot of money thrown at it, but I don't think it's money that's appropriately thrown at it when you start talking about how do we transition veterans. And to me, a lot of it's just a dog and pony show. What do we need when we get out? We need a sense of community. We need some purpose. We need camaraderie. We need structure and an opportunity. Like, that's the 5 things we need when we're transitioning. But what programs out there is actually helping deliver that or bring that? Like, because there's no money in those 5 things that I just said. There's just, they're not sexy. There's no money in that. But that's what we need to provide. That's what I was looking for, and I found that on a job site. And I believe if the construction industry as a whole just did a better job at marketing ourselves to the veteran community, it would change everything. It truly is a marketing thing, because there is no better place. And it doesn't matter what role you served in the military, there's a place for you in a construction business. And you're going to find the same thing as you find, like I said earlier, out in the field. Because I want to break this down for everybody, because everybody really looks at it as labor. Like, if you're going to work in construction, you have to be like ready to do 30 years hard labor on a job site. That is not the truth. Where you maybe get your start there, yeah, if you have a skill set to do that. But construction is business. Construction just happens to be the service. So when you look at a business and everything that happens within a business, construction companies have those same roles, all the way up to CFOs, CEOs, COOs. There's executive teams, there's leadership, there's management, there's office roles. It runs the complete gamut. So if you're getting out of the military and you're like, well, I don't want to go work out in the field, my skill set don't converse to that at all. I was in supply, and well, you know what? We have warehouses. We have inventory that needs management that, quite frankly, it's probably a disaster just about
I was
everywhere you
just
walk
getting ready to
into.
say that. I've worked with a couple of them, and that's what they were struggling with.
Yeah, and so like the roles are there. You can transition your skills, and the great thing about it is if you work in the office, if you work in the field, if you work in the warehouse, it don't matter where you work at in that construction business. It's the same mentality. It's the same get shit done, the same because it's the same culture all around. It's not like it's different in the field. There is some differences, like of being in the field and being in the office. But you're going to have the same camaraderie. You're going to have the same mission. You're going to find the things that you're looking for there. I just happened to find it on the job site, but I worked my way off the job site, worked all the way up into leadership and management, and I grew with the company. And that's another thing that the construction industry offers, is such a growth trajectory. If you're willing to continue to learn, continue to develop yourself, the sky's the limit within construction, all the way to having your own business and going and do it. Like, the possibilities are endless.
Oh man, that's a great transition point. So I know you have builder comms now, and you told us a little bit about that. But oh, you know what? Janita said hello. Hello, Janita. Thank you for watching today. But you also do something for those people that that want to go into business and construction, and you do it in partnership with Syracuse University's programs. So I'd like to hear what that is, and if you wouldn't mind telling a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just show up and help. I take zero credit for this program.
But you know what? You step forward and you said, yes, I will do it.
Yeah. Well, I have a huge passion for this, and the opportunity presented itself. And I said, yeah, like that fills my purpose cup right now. Like that to me is one of the best things I can do. So the program's Bunker Builds. It's actually sponsored by Home Depot. And right now we're wrapping the one up actually today. We got 35 veterans that are starting construction, home service businesses. So think anything from remodeling, spec home building, custom home building, electric or HVAC, and everything in between. And we're putting them through a 12-week course on business fundamentals. And then you get to spend time with me on construction and all the stuff that comes with the extra stuff that comes with construction. And it's been an amazing thing. They're going to run it next year, I think they're doing 3 of them. So it's going to be a continued program because, like I said, this is a way that we can fix that gap of employment that veterans need in the construction industry needs the employees. We are not even the employee, the business. We need people to come into the trades, and why not use a source that we have? And Syracuse University and Bunker Labs is 100% on board with that. And I get to help facilitate it. I get to help be a part of it and continue to help these guys transition. And it's truly amazing. So if you are a veteran listening to this and you have a desire to be in construction, I would check it out. And it's just on Bunker Labs, Syracuse University's website. You check out Bunker Builds. And like I said, I know they're doing 3 of them next year. This one's been amazing that we're getting ready to wrap up.
Well, and thank you for doing that. Anything that anybody can do to support the veteran community, I think it's honorable. It's definitely a community that can use more support all the time because there's so many of us out there trying to figure out what we want to do. Ron, because we have just a few minutes left here, would you be willing to share maybe a message that you would typically share with an audience that is uplifting? Most of the people here are business owners, HR generalists. There are some construction people here, but just somebody who's thinking about starting something or maybe they have a goal that they're trying to get to. What's a special message that you would like to share with the audience?
Absolutely, man. The universe is never wrong, but it's up to us to take the action to create the outcome that we want.
Short, sweet, and to the point. I love it. So how would people get a hold of you, Ron?
I'm everywhere. If you get social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, X, you name it, I'm out there. Ron Nussbaum, you search me, Builder Comms, you cannot miss us. I put a lot of social media out there and have for a while.
Very good. Well, I really appreciate you coming here on the show. What I will say to everybody who's watching, that if you want to support the idea that we should pass the message that anybody from any background can do anything that they want to do, as long as they wake up in the morning and they're intentional about it, you can be anybody you want to any day. If you want to continue to support that message by bringing more people on here, please like this wherever you're seeing it. Subscribe to every single place that you can that supports this message, including my show. Subscribe to my channel at youtube.com, Victory Leadership Coaching. But the most important thing is wherever you're seeing this, please put a comment below. I think keeping the conversation going is super important. And especially if you want to see something specific on my show, just ask. I mean, who knows what I'm going to do with this show in the future? Right now, I'm just trying to highlight what success looks like. So again, Ron, thank you. And thank you everyone in the audience for being a part of this journey. And we will see you next time on another episode of Victory Leaders Lounge.